You know them now, don't you? Maybe they'll put them
Well,
on the
that
screen.
water
If
tower
not, I'm
does
gonna wait and
look
start
nice.
talking. Okay.
Well, I know it's honored. I'll get that much.
Very impressed with it once they lit it. I was really surprised how well it looked from the ground. Lit from the ground.
Oh, okay. Sure, how quiet.
Anticipation.
Why do we need to talk?
Yeah, go ahead, kid.
Yeah, 1 minute.
30 seconds.
It was the calm before the storm. Right, Ken?
Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting of the Sweetwater City Council to order and ask Larry Holder with Highland Heights United Methodist Church to give the invocation this morning, and then Commissioner Peak will lead us in the pledges.
Let us pray. Father, as we come today, we acknowledge that we are living in scary and uncertain times. Help us, Lord, not to be a people of fear, but a people of wisdom and guidance provided by you. I ask, Lord, that you bless the city council, that you bless the leaders of this city, of this community. Lord, that you guide them and direct them in everything that they do and all the decisions that are being made. We ask, Father, that I know that there's some concern over the rattlesnake roundup that's coming up, but Father, we ask that you bless it. Everything we just put in your hands, and we just ask for your guidance, for your peace that passes all understanding. Bless the workers as well, and the people of this community. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge to our nation and our state's flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In honor of the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we'll now move to item 4, which is discuss, consider, and act upon approval of minutes for meeting held on January 21st, 2020.
Move adoption of the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item 5 calls for public input. Is there anyone who wishes to speak?
Question to ask. We've heard that the city is looking at outsourcing the waste disposal. I just kind of want to know what the implications of that is to the community, and are we going to roll off containers? What is possibly going on there?
This is just a public comment period and not an opportunity for exchange between the public and staff or the council. But if you'd like to give me a call later on, I can certainly talk with you all about that. Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay. We'll now move to item 6, which is discuss, consider, and act upon an ordinance declaring unopposed candidates in the May 2nd, 2020 general election elected to office, canceling the election for contest with unopposed candidates, making various findings and provisions related to the subject, and providing for an effective date. Any questions?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance of the City of Sweetwater declaring unopposed candidates in the May 2nd, 2020 general election elected to office, canceling the election for contest with unopposed candidates, making various findings and provisions related to the subject, and providing for an effective date. We'll now move to item 6B, which is discuss, consider, and act upon approval of the comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30. Ms. Wilkes.
Thank you. I've issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. and I detected no deficiencies in internal control that I consider to be material weaknesses, and the results of my testing disclosed no instances of noncompliance that are required to be reported under government auditing standards. And those are the highlights, and I'd be happy to go into anything in more detail if you have any questions on any particular item.
Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Move approval of the comprehensive annual financial report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Now move to item 6C, which is discuss, consider, and act upon consideration of bid award of $23,560 to Cole Construction Company for demolition and removal of dilapidated construction contingent upon available funds.
Mayor, Council, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you this morning. This is a request to approve some funding if it becomes available. I think the next item will address that, but it's for demolition and removal of a dilapidated structure. This is really a program, continuing program with the code enforcement staff and working very closely with the Municipal Development District Board. They've been a real good partner in working to remove some structures in our main transportation corridors, and this is one of them. Just as a little history, the address is 3003 West Broadway. On November 12th, the City Council considered and acted to declare this property as dangerous and unfit for human habitation. Upon that, the staff went out for bids, requesting bids from some demolition contractors, had received a couple bids, and went to the Municipal Development District and asked the board to fund the demolition of a number of structures on this property. The lowest and best bid came in at $23,560, and it's a co-construction company. This is the property. We all may be aware of this property. I took these pictures from the right-of-way, and clearly there's, I think, 4 structures on this property, pretty much in disarray, very visible from Broadway or from West Broadway Street. By removing these structures, it will clean up this property, and upon doing so, if in fact it's approved, we would put a lien on this property to try and recoup the funds that are being expended. The property, again, had been declared by the City Council on November 12th, and we're just kind of following through with the process now to have it removed from the property grounds, all of the structures and debris. That's just the request. If there's any questions, I can answer those at this time.
Do you know what this property's on the tax rolls for?
Yeah, I really don't know what that is. I don't have that information readily accessible. I would think, I don't even venture to guess on that.
That's fine.
I'll make a motion that we award the bid to Co-Construction.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll now move to item 6D, which is discuss, consider, and act upon approval of Sweetwater Enterprise for Economic Development Municipal Development District request to fund housing development infrastructure improvement over $15,000. Mr. Becker.
Thank you.
As was just talked about, the property at 3003 West Broadway, our board of directors in our February meeting approved the expenditure of $23,560, the same price that Co-Construction turned in. So it would be our recommendation to do that. Since it's over $15,000, it requires City Council approval. Along with that, I do want to say that city staff, Dana and his department are doing a tremendous job. and you start looking at, and this is just a short list of things that have already happened. The city's already tore down 8 structures that we know of. We've had 2 structures tore down by the homeowners or the landowners themselves once the letter was in. MDD has already paid for 5 other structures, and we propose to pay for another 4 structures. And is this enough? No, but it's one heck of a start, and Dana and his group and the city staff is doing a tremendous job.
I'll move we accept the funds from MDD.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and if you don't mind, I just want to say one other thing. I just happen to have a young lady that works at CDMDD that just happened to complete her education track. She's now got a bachelor's degree in science and accounting, and I want to applaud Misha for continuing to do that. It's tough enough to go to school when you're just going to school, but when you have a family, you have children, and you work full-time, that's even tougher, and she's stuck to it, so we're really proud of her.
Okay, we'll now move to item 6E, which is to enter into a public hearing and hear a presentation from Mr. Danny Schoening, Director of Planning and Development Services, on declaring structures on described properties within the city of Sweetwater, Texas, to be dilapidated and or deteriorated and unfit for human habitation, so as to require repair, rehabilitation, or demolition, providing a time for which to rehabilitate, repair, or demolish such structures, and provide for the repair, rehabilitation, or demolition and removal.
Move we enter into public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is open. At this time, I'll ask Pete Sheridan, the city attorney, to swear in Dana and Danny Heine, code enforcement officer, for the testimony required.
Solemnly swear that the testimony you will give today before this proceeding will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Mayor, Council, we're going to be talking about some substandard structures again. Just so I have the timeline here and really kind of the process. This item is for public hearing and presentation, and the way that we have it set is I will go over each property and give some specifics on some issues that we have, and then if there's anybody that's here regarding that property, then they'd be asked to come up and speak, and we'll do one property at a time for this public hearing purposes. Just as a recap, the city staff has identified a number of structures in the city of Sweetwater that really are considered to be dilapidated and disrepair. They are really, in the staff's opinion, a public nuisance and public health and safety issues in the community. The ones that we'll be looking at today are all on Broadway Street in that corridor area. And so that's really the focus area right now. I've got really 4 tracks that I'm going to talk about. I would say that just kind of setting this up, these properties have been inspected by a firm that we are working with. It's Bureau Veritas. They are qualified to do these property condition inspections. They're certified to do so. We had sent a public notice to the property owners advising them that this public hearing would occur today to bring up the property and ask for the council to make a decision on the future of that property. Today being March 10th is that day to make that consideration as a companion item to this. The next item is a resolution based on anything that has come up in this public hearing. Then the resolution kind of follows up on what the city council is going to do, and then what we would do. We have what we call orders. You're going to be making a decision, which is an actual city council order to the property owner, advising them of their responsibility to do something with that property. way that it's set up right now is if in fact it is declared to be a substandard structure, the owner would have 30 days here. Actually, we'll give 35 days because of the certified mailing. It takes 5 days typically for the mailing to get to the property owner, that they would obtain a restoration permit or demolish the structure on their own. If that does not happen within that time period, then the city has the ability to go in there and abate that property, to demolish that property and then establish a lien to place on that property. That's kind of the process, and we're at the point where you're gonna decide, and I'm gonna go over each property now. First property is, it's a tract, it's 3211 and 3307, it's addressed as, the legal description is actually lot 45, block 22 in the TMP addition. It's two structures, I think, this is one, it actually has a water tower on the structure. Not sure which address this one is, but we're talking about the two. And so the purpose of the inspection is to do, this physical inspection, get inside the building if we can. We did this with administrative search warrants, so we had the right to go on the property to do the inspection. This is primarily an old scrap yard. It's got a lot of debris. The building's in pretty bad shape. We looked at it from the foundation, from the mechanical condition and electrical condition, and you have some information before you. Essentially, the foundation is in disrepair. It really wouldn't support any remodel to this building. It really needs to be taken away. The mechanical systems are missing or have been vandalized, cannot be repaired. The electrical system fails to meet the National Electric Code that we currently follow. The roof is not performing. The roof is in bad shape. And the plumbing hadn't been tested, but would need to be overhauled completely for what it might be left in that building. So both of these buildings really fall under that. They have falling roofs, the brick has fallen, they have broken windows, foundations in bad shape. The recommendation moving forward with this is a hazardous building and needs to be removed. So we're asking later that the council makes a decision on this. Essentially, this building in its current condition is a hazard to public health and safety, or anybody who even wants to get in there. It's just a bad situation. This is the other property on that tract. Same situation, a little bit worse off. Not much for utility systems inside the building. It's been ravaged. It's unsecured and no evidence of squatters, but it's a prime target for that. So we would recommend that the property owners advised of that problem and that they need to take care of it either through rehab or demolition.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak regarding 3211 and 3307 West Broadway Street? Okay.
Dana, I have a question. One of the pictures we have shows a meter base with an actual electrical meter in it. Is that still existent? I mean, is that the 32? Do you know, Danny?
3211, we had that removed, Uncle come out and disconnected.
Okay.
It's I appreciate you bringing that up because a number of these structures actually had live power. And they were even more hazardous because of that. So what we did, and based on the inspection, is we had the power shut off. The next property here is 1912 East Broadway. It's two structures. Again, purpose is to take a look at the building, take a look at the grounds, to see what kind of issues that we currently have. It's an old abandoned office warehouse. And I think the other one used to be a restaurant, if I recall. We were discussing that. We could see evidence of that on site. The foundation is in terrible shape, fails to meet the minimum standards that's set forth in the International Building Code. The mechanical condition of it is that it's, a lot of parts are missing, substandard, it's been vandalized. Electrical condition's been compromised, it's been vandalized, pretty much taken away. Doesn't meet any minimum standards for the National Electric Code, and this is talking about both of the buildings. The plumbing wasn't tested, but it would need to have an overhaul, doesn't meet the International Building Code. This is the same type of situation as we had on the other buildings. We have failing roofs, electrical systems non-existent basically. It's in very poor condition. It would take quite a bit to repair it. Wouldn't be worth, in our opinion, the amount that would need to be utilized to get it to repair to a building code level, minimum building code level. So the recommendation would be that it would be that the owner would have to do something with this, either repair it or demolish it. But I don't see that this is a building that could be repaired fairly easily.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak regarding 1912 East Broadway Street? Okay.
The next property is actually two tracks. They're addressed as 1500 and 1502 East Broadway. There's a separate legal description for each. That is in the information and in the resolution. Basically, it's in the College Heights addition. 1500 it's lots 1 through 3, block 9, and 1502 lots 1 and 2, block 8B. And this is the old Palomino Hotel. I think we're all familiar with that. It's 16 units. In here, it has an office apartment for the former owner of this property. And I think just from the pictures, and we've seen this before, every aspect of this building is in disrepair. It's totally unsecured. There has been a lot of squatting going on in this building. This was another building where we had power, and we have had it turned off once it was inspected. Mechanical condition, been vandalized, doesn't meet code. Electrical condition, other than what we had for power, it's been taken out from the inside of the units, fails to meet the National Electric Code. Very difficult to overhaul this building. It would take a whole lot to do so. The recommendation would be that the entire property at 1500 and 1502 would be demolished, but it would, the owner has the right, and there's really two owners to this property, that they could rehab it or demolish it, but it looks like a good candidate for demolition and removal from the city staff standpoint and from the inspection that we received. It's in pretty bad shape.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak regarding 1500 and 1502 East Broadway? Okay, do I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll now move to item 6F, which is discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution declaring structures on described properties within the city of Sweetwater, Texas, to be dilapidated and deteriorated and unfit for human habitation, so as to require repair, rehabilitation, or demolish, providing a time for which rehabilitate, repair, or demolish such structures, and provide for the repair, rehabilitation, or demolition and removal.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, but we gotta read them. We got property, one property.
You're gonna make me work for that.
I'm gonna make you work a little bit.
Okay.
Don't put it, there you go. On each one of them.
Each individual property.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I make motion, a resolution for declaration of dilapidation and/or deterioration and unfit for human habitation or order repair, rehabilitation, or demolition of 3211 and 3307 West Broadway Street within 35 days from date of order.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I make a motion by resolution for declaration of dilapidation or deterioration and unfit for human habitation, and order repair, rehabilitation, or demolition of 1912 East Broadway Street within 35 days from date of order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead.
I make a motion by resolution for declaration of dilapidation and or deterioration and unfit for human habitation, and order repair, rehabilitation, or demolition of 1500 and 1502 East Broadway Street within 35 days from date of order.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now read the resolution into the record. A resolution declaring structures on described properties within the city of Sweetwater, Texas to be dilapidated and or deteriorated, unfit for human habitation, so as to require repair, rehabilitation, or demolition, providing a time for which rehabilitate, repair, or demolish such structures, and provide for repair, rehabilitation, or demolition and removal. City manager's report.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Mayor, council, just want to go over a few quick items to update y'all and the community on some good things that are coming through town, and just like to shine a light on them. In one case, a literal light. The Taste of Sweetwater. The 34th annual Taste of Sweetwater will be held Monday, April 13th of this year, beginning at 5:30 and ending at 7:30 p.m. at the Nolan County Coliseum Annex. You'll see the prices for that there. Adults $12 and so on and so forth. Children under 3 are free, so feel free to bring your kids. It's a great fundraiser. The proceeds benefit the senior citizen programs and Meals on Wheels for Sweetwater and for Roscoe. As you'll see there, door prizes, cash, and children's prizes to be given away. So did I miss anything, Tanya?
Nope, that's it.
Everything good? All right. We hope everybody can make it there. We hope to see everybody there. The next one is just an update on the water line construction. We had sent this out through social media last week. What we're working on right now is Patterson Street. Water lines associated with Patterson Street. You'll see the Walnut Street is circled, and then water line construction to begin at these locations began last Monday and then through Monday, April 13th. That holds true for Patterson. But for Walnut Street, we had a little bit of a snafu, so we're gonna have, with the contractor, so we're gonna have to push back that date on the Patterson job. Is that correct, Eddie? I'm sorry, the Walnut job. Thank you for that. So there we go. So we're making some good progress on getting some water lines in. We'll have to wait a little bit on Walnut though. The elevated storage tank lighting, it's been lit maybe about a month or so. Something like that, 3-4 weeks. I just think it just looks so nice, doesn't it? To me it looks like a candle on a birthday cake or something like that. It's the best I could come up with. It's just, it adds a lot to the city, obviously, especially at night, and we're very proud of the job that Eddie and his crews did, along with the contractors that we hired for this job. It took a little while, didn't it, Eddie? But we're here, and we get to look up in the sky and see that pretty thing every night. So the rehab trailer, Grant, why don't you come up if you got a minute and talk to us a little bit about the rehab trailer, please, sir.
I was asked, I don't know, about maybe a year ago, by the new, at the time, liaison with the North Central Texas Trauma Regional Advisory Council to come over and help her figure out what this trailer was that had been at Hendricks for about 10 years at the maintenance department. And this is it emptied out. This is a picture of it. It turned out to be a brand new, never used, still in the package rehab trailer of gargantuan proportions. It's got things in there I never dreamed you would need for rehab, but it has it. Then not long after that, after we pulled it all out, looked at it, determined what it was and what could be done with it, she asked if we would be in charge of it and use it, set it up. So looking down the pipe of that many resources, just right there, I was like, absolutely. So we got that. We finally, and I've given reports on this before, this is the same trailer, but we have finally gotten all of the pieces that we need to make it functional. It came with a tent that was so big that 8 of my grown firemen, as well as a couple of the young ones on YouTube trying to figure out instructions on how to put this tent up, we couldn't get the tent to work. It's brand new. If anybody would like it, it's at the station. I have absolutely no use for it. But we did get something that would absolutely work. Did you have other pictures? I think there's some other pictures.
That's the only one we have.
Okay. It's an inflatable tent. It's not the one that has a fan that always requires the fan to be running. You can inflate it with SCBA bottles, and it's freestanding, very rigid. It's rated for the wind we have around here. It's got a generator that goes with it with a 5-ton air conditioning unit and a heater. It's really, really outfitted well. One problem we have now, the trailer got new tires. It's the Big Country Healthcare Coalition is who we've gotten it from, and they were putting decals on the side of it and everything like that. It's so old. It's 12 years old. I think the trailer's totally 13 years old, and it sat in the sun on that side for so long. When the decal applicator put it on there, really nice decal, she pulled the masking tape off that holds all the letters in place and pulled a bunch of the paint off. So now we're looking at having to repaint it. I say it should be red, but I don't know. Yeah, we've actually got this huge, really, really nice asset here in the city of Sweetwater. That it's a regional asset. Should anybody around the area need it, pretty much in the state, the state knows about it. The district coordinators in the area know about it, and tried to call it out numerous times last year with the grass fires they had, like in Abilene in the area, but we didn't have the pieces we needed. Well, now we have it. It's on the road, ready to go. Should anybody have a use? And the equipment in it, and I've told Eddie, I've told other directors, the equipment in it is for us to use. It's got tremendous scene lights, 360-degree LED lights on tripods that use very little electricity. It doesn't take much of a generator to make them run. It's got, you can see the stack of cots there in that picture. Yeah. Just lucked into a really nice resource.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, the new website. What you're looking at there is not the desktop version. That's the mobile phone version. So if you pull up sweetwatertx.gov on your phone, that's what you'll get, and you'll get to pay online, and you'll get through to animal services, pay your utility bills, and look at jobs that are available and all that good stuff. At this point, Zach will pull up the desktop version, which is a little nicer looking. The site's been available for maybe a couple of weeks, but we haven't given it the world premiere until this morning. Some of y'all may have been on it, but it's a definite improvement from our former site, which was old and outdated. And you'll see all the things that you can do utilizing this website. Apply for permits and forms. We don't have the ability right now to apply for jobs online. We're working on that, but you can print out a job application, find jobs that are available, and then get that to us. The GIS and the mapping is an integral part. Public notices about things that are going on, the splash pad, the water line project that I talked about a little bit ago. That's the splash pad project. That picture was taken a day or two ago. So just a better, nicer way for us to keep up, keep informing the public on all the good things that are going on here in Sweetwater. Access to external sites like the Rattlesnake Roundup, calendar of events, those types of things. These were things that were not available on the former site for so many years, but now they are on this new site. So we're very proud of the work that was done by the committee that was set up to handle this, especially Zach Adama is our IT director. So Zach, come out and take a bow. We really, really relied on his expertise and his leadership to get this done, and this is a work in progress. There's still some things that need to be done, but we're basically there. And as y'all know, with websites, they're never really done because you got to keep updating them and all that good stuff. Mr. Mayor, that's all I had.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move to item 8, which is to enter into closed session in accordance with section 551.087 of the Texas Governmental Code. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we enter into closed session.
Second.